What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, newly crowned 3-belt, unified WBC, WBA, IBF, welterweight, world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, if not number 1, in Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who is 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Errol Spence seems to be heading into what is considered to be the biggest fight in the sport of boxing between himself and his biggest rival in undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be the number 1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Crawford is 38 wins, no losses, no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach at 34 years of age. So, this makes for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. This is the fight that everybody wants to see and clamoring for, okay? And it gives clarity. Who is the best welterweight in the world? Who is the best fighter in the world, right? There's a lot of reports, a lot of different rumors. Both guys are undefeated. You're going to hear a lot of different things. But what you are hearing from Errol Spence Jr. now, the build-up for this fight, many people were saying that Errol Spence was avoiding Terence Crawford. He didn't want to make the fight happen with Terence Crawford, okay? He didn't feel like he was confident he could beat Terence Crawford. Now, Errol Spence, he suffered a horrific car accident back in October 2019 after unifying the belts against 2-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Showdown Shawn Porter. And then headed into, 2020, he was going into a massive showdown with legendary retired 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, but he suffered a broken or detached retina that saw him have to be removed from that fight. So he has been faced with a lot of adversity, okay? And so with that said, Errol Spence is full court press on Terence Crawford. Now, footage has leaked of Errol Spence training, running up a mountain, okay? And Errol Spence is training in 120-degree weather or more. And he left a message, he and his team, and said that you should have been careful what you wish for because you're going to get it and more, right? And that's what we like to hear, right? Errol Spence, after he defeated former WBA welterweight world champion, Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas, well, Errol Spence, to become unified 3 belts, okay? In the old era, yesteryear's era, Errol Spence would be considered undisputed right now, okay? But the WBO in 2000s, early 2000s, about 2003, it became a major sanction belt, okay? And so with that said, Errol Spence, he's letting Terence Crawford know and letting the fans know and letting the boxing world know. After his post-fight with Yordenis Ugas, he stated, I want Terence Crawford. I'm coming after his belt. I'm taking his belt, right? That was his plan all along. And now he's letting it be known. Days after that fight with Ugas, Errol Spence had been posting, he made a limited edition shirt with, he calls himself, obviously refers to himself as the Big Fish, okay? Which is the shark, and he, have the logo of a big fish knocking on everybody's door as the Grim Reaper, and having their belts hanging on the door, and the last door had Terence Crawford TC, and he was knocking on the door as the Grim Reaper, but as a big fish, right? And so now we see him training, we see him running up hills, we see him, in the gym. And reports are that Errol Spence has been in the gym every single day since the Ugas fight. No days off. Iconic moment is when you saw well-renowned 2-time trainer of the year, future Hall of Fame trainer in Derrick James, after the fight with Ugas, telling Errol Spence we got to get back in the gym. We got to go back in the gym, right? We gotta clean some things up, you know, essentially letting it be known, this is how we stay sharp. We got to go back to the gym. And Errol Spence said, okay. And he's been in the gym ever since, right? No days off. Now, as of late, we heard guys like legends that's picking against Errol Spence Jr., right? And they saying, listen, we got Terence Crawford. James Toney said Errol Spence would be lucky if he get past the 6th round or to the 6th round. Okay, you got Roy Jones Jr. agreeing with James Toney, saying that if he ain't the same after suffering that horrific accident, right, then he agrees with James Toney. Don't go past 6 rounds. Antonio Tarver saying that Errol Spence is basic. He's one-dimensional. Doesn't have too many facets to his game, right? And Errol Spence, he had responded, and he said, forget him, forget everybody, right? And we know this has been an ongoing trend and situation with Errol Spence since he fought 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia, right? You had a guy he looked up to and modeled his career after in legendary retired iconic Hall of Fame superstar boxer Sugar Ray Leonard, and Olympic gold medalist. And Sugar Ray Leonard, he picked Mikey Garcia, and his rhyme and reason for picking Mikey Garcia was simply because he's Mikey. No real rhyme or reason as to why he picked Mikey Garcia outside of the fact that it's just Mikey, and Mikey is Mikey, right? So Errol Spence, he didn't take too kind of that, and George Foreman picked against him, picked Mikey Garcia, right? And Errol Spence, he let it be known that he sees and hears everything. He uses it as bulletin board material, motivation, right? And so you best believe he saw all these legends at the Hall of Fame picking against him, right? And so that don't mean he's going to win the fight, though. It does mean, I believe, you're going to get the best version of Errol Spence that anybody has ever seen, right? Now, Terence Crawford, very skilled, high ring IQ, power in both hands, knocked out 10 of his last 11 opponents, 3-division champion, right? Got the biggest win in his career in November. Terence Crawford, he stopped and did something that nobody's ever done in stopping 2-time welterweight world champion Showtime Sean Porter. He stopped Sean Porter, right? Which was shocking to many people because Sean Porter, you know, is very durable. But he didn't knock out Sean Porter. He stopped Sean Porter. And that was largely in due part to Sean Porter's father, trainer, and manager, Kenny Porter, saying he's seen enough and waving the white towel. He waved the white towel. He said, I saw enough. It's over, right? In the 10th round. And that's the biggest win in Terence Crawford's career. Terence Crawford has been relatively quiet when it comes to this fight with Errol Spence, outside of a couple of statements he made after Errol Spence beat Ugas, in which he stated that, you know, keep my belts warm. That's what he told Errol Spence. He said, keep my belts warm, right? I'm coming to collect them, right? Outside of that, referring to the Errol Spence fight, when being asked about it, he just saying he hopes it comes to fruition. He wants it, you know, he wants it to happen, so on and so forth. But he's not delving deep into it. He's not responding to anything on social media. And that could be a good thing, because fights don't get made in social media. Errol Spence is just letting it be known, I ain't avoiding Terence Crawford. I want this fight. I'm going to the fight. I want to make it happen ASAP, right? And Errol Spence, he even stated in an interview he did, he said the fight is going to happen. And he said, if the fight don't happen, it won't be on my end, right? So he letting it be known he going to do whatever it takes to make the fight happen, right? If the fight don't happen, it's going to be on Terence Crawford if the fight don't happen, right? And, you know, so Terence Crawford, I see a lot of people that saying Terence Crawford is mute, you know, but that could be a good thing. You know, why does Terence Crawford have to respond publicly to every single thing? He doesn't, right? I believe that Terence Crawford wants this fight, okay? Financially, is this the holdup that's preventing the fight from happening? Possibly, right? Is that what's preventing the fight? It could be, you know, from being announced. But then you have retired legendary iconic Hall of Fame superstar boxer turned promoter, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. stating that the fight will only be announced when he announces it, right? And then Floyd Mayweather, now we got reports from ESPN, and I've had reports from behind the scenes that, you know, they want to make this fight in October. Floyd Mayweather came out, he debunked it. He said that's not true. It's not going to happen in October. He stated that, you know, when it gets announced, I'll be the one to announce it, or Fight Hype will be the ones to announce the fight. You know, if you don't hear from me, then it's not true, right? So he said that ESPN was incorrect in making the statement that he made, that they want to make the fight happen in October. But at the same time, you got to keep in mind that also Errol Spence, he retweeted it, that the fight is getting close to happening in October as well. And then Floyd Mayweather, he stated that, well, you know, sometimes fighters, you know, they say and do things for reactions, don't mean it's legit, right? Alluding to Errol Spence capping, right? That Errol Spence retweeting it and you know, alluding to there's truth to what the reports are, that he was just getting a reaction out of the fans. I find that very, very hard to believe, because Errol Spence never does anything, you know, in the form of capping. Now, another thing is why I say this was great news, because we know Errol Spence has found a newfound respect and appreciation and commitment to the sport of boxing, more so in between the fights, right? You know, in training camp, he was always committed to the fight, but in between fights, he wasn't committed to the fights as many expected him to be, right? And so with that said, now, you know, he's 1000% committed, and he was his own nutritionist. Now he's hired a nutritionist. He was his own, you know, he had a strength and condition coach in Blue Ray Fitness, in which I wish he goes back to Blue Ray Fitness, because I thought his strength was at his best when you saw him with Blue Ray, okay? But nonetheless, you know, he hired a strength and condition coach. He hired a nutritionist. You know, he's not taking any days off. He's back in the gym already. That is a sign that Errol Spence is going to be the greatest version of Errol Spence in the biggest fight of his career against Terence Crawford. And I can't wait to see how it unfolds and plays out. So we got footage of Errol Spence training in 120-degree weather. You saw him running up the mountains. It's over 100 degrees in Texas. He's running up the mountains in Texas over 4 times. You see him in the gym. The thermometer in the gym is reading over 120 degrees, and he's training in the gym. So he's 1000% locked in and focused. And another thing to me is, if the fight wasn't on the verge of happening and being announced, would Errol Spence be going this hard? He's going super hard. Now, obviously, again, like I say, he's found a newfound commitment to the sport, and he wants to stay focused and locked in. But would he be this locked in and focused if the fight wasn't, you know, close to being announced and close to happening? I don't believe so. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for you. Peace.